Welcome everyone to Buying Local. I'm your host, Mike Nelson from Five Towers Media, joined today by Dave. And Dave, is it Globerson?
Yes. Yep.
Okay,
Always
I'm like,
mispronounced. You got it right on the first one, sir.
yes.
Yeah.
Kudos to me.
Yeah.
Dave Globerson from DFG Illustrations. What's up, man?
Hey, man. How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to have you on here. Excited that, as we were talking a little bit right before we started the show, I'm excited to hear about the kind of work that you do. Obviously I've seen pictures, see it on the Instagram and other places. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah. So, my name's Dave. I work full time as a commission-based illustrator and painter. I went to college for this. I went to the Hartford Art School in Hartford, Connecticut. So I have my bachelor's in fine art and illustration. And I kind of took a little while before I got into making art full time. But during the pandemic, it afforded me the ability and the time to be able to just write a business plan, sit down and focus with it. And my art has really evolved since then, since I've been able to really focus on it and really put in the reps. It started as me drawing mostly fantasy creatures, dragons, monsters, and stuff like that. And I still get to do that, but it turned more into portraiture and pet portraiture as commissions started rolling in.
Mhm.
And that's afforded me the ability to make a living doing art. And in doing so, it's improved my art exponentially just because I'm doing it all of the time. I put a lot of weight on myself with each of these too, because it's something that's really meaningful to somebody,
Mhm.
so it's you know, so yeah, I'm just always working to get better and figure it out. And then somehow I got into designing craft beer labels as well. So, um, you know, most artists have gallery shows and stuff. My walk-in coolers are now my own personal gallery.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's
You want
really
to see
wild.
my work? Go into the beer cave at Stewart's and
Yeah,
you'll.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Whitman Beer Brewing, one of the companies that I work for, they were the first brewery to hire me to make labels and stuff. And yeah, they just signed a deal with Stewart's, so we are carried there. So
That's
exactly,
awesome.
yeah.
That's amazing. Um, I I want to hear. So you mentioned, making that transition into becoming a full-time artist, which I don't think is easy for anyone, right? And
No,
I, one of the things I'm curious to hear about, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, was you were drawing what you like to draw, and then all of a sudden you find yourself doing portraits and doing pet portraits and people portraits, and was it just you're just hanging out someday and someone's like, hey, do you think you could do a painting of my dog for me? How does that even start to happen?
during the shutdown, I had just paid off my student loans, and I was like, I'm going to celebrate this. It took me 10 years to pay off my student loans. I'm going to do 10 paintings for $50 for
Yeah.
people, right? Just per person, whatever. Um, and what that ended up doing was showing me the market um, without me having to do anything.
Mhm.
So what ended up happening was that 9 out of 10 of those were pet portraits, and one of them was just, hey, make me something weird. The guy who asked me to make me something weird is still a very good friend of mine to this day. That's the way to my heart. Um, but I ended up painting, yeah, about 9 pet portraits, whether that be cats, dogs, whatever. And then I was like, okay, there's obviously a market for this. And I saw the reactions of people with that work, which I never saw with my original work. Usually I would be like, hey, look at this thing. And they're like, well, that's terrifying.
Right.
You're a disturbed person. I'm not. And so then I started doing these dogs and cats, and people were like, this is really meaningful. And they're starting to cry. I'm like, and I'm a deeply empathetic person. So to have that experience of gift giving like that or doing something meaningful, it was like, oh, all right, well, this is my calling. And then I just leaned into it, and now it kind of just feels like a home with the universe when I do these things.
Hmm. So they were crying, you were crying. It was a big
Oh yeah.
emotional.
Somebody's chopping onions somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure. And so some of these, I think most of the pet portraits that I've seen of yours are it's not just like a dog. It's like I keep thinking of the one I want to say it's some sort of hound and he's like wearing like a 1800s.
That one right there.
Yeah, is it
Yeah.
behind it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are like, so those are like my personal ones. And there are requests for that. The advent of AI kind of took away the novelty of that. So I've leaned more into the fine art aspects of
Mhm.
things. And I'm going to try to take back the uh, like, elevated portraits of dogs where they look like they belong in like the hall of like Parliament or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So that's actually a series I'm going to be working on. I want to do about a dozen like small paintings of dogs and cats just like that. Just
Mhm.
because I don't have any like one thing that's interesting about being a commission-based illustrator and painter, I have very little of my own work like just laying around. So um like my actual first gallery show, I had to borrow all the pieces from people that have commissioned me. And it worked out because my first show was actually at the Crandall Library in Glens Falls, where I'm based out of. And I called it on loan, and it was perfect. It worked out great.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was a way that I didn't have to create a whole new body of work for it. But it celebrated everybody that is like a big part of the story, part of the reason why I'm able to do this. And huge turnout. It was awesome. Well, we'll remember that for the rest of my life.
So when you was it like an immediate thing when you did those first 10 paintings and you're like, "Oh, I think I could actually turn this into a business?"
Yeah.
Or was yeah.
Yeah. I immediately like, looked up some, small business acumen stuff, got a DBA, just made sure I was legit. And then, yeah, I mean, I've just then the momentum just, kept going. Cause, I think during 2020, this is before Instagram was entirely video based.
Mhm.
So I was able to just post pictures and immediately get attention or get commissions. And I mean, I created a system that it's taken me a while to get it to the point where like, oh, now I'm an actual like business. Like you fill out a form. That took me up until like last month,
Yeah.
honestly. But it's always a work in progress. And mostly it's just to minimize stress for myself and also make it easier for the client.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so all the pet portraits came in, they just kept coming in. And occasionally I'll get like a stray where it's like, hey, can you paint this or can you paint this? Or would you be willing to do a mural or some merch? Um, but it's interesting because I contain multitudes with my art.
Mhm.
So the pet portraits are wonderful because, it's introduced me to so many people and organizations, and I've been able to help out in a lot of ways, not just emotionally, but like also with fundraising and um, and I don't know. I mean, it's opened a lot of doors for me. And then there's the other hand where I really like making sci-fi art. I like making dark stuff.
Mhm.
So striking that balance between the two, because it's like, oh man, I want to make all this awesome stuff that I think is awesome. And it turns out to be very niche. But the pet portraits are universal. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's I'm realizing that, I'm that musician that is wrote all of these songs, but the crowd wants to hear the hits.
Mhm.
So I've decided to just completely lean into the pet portraits and portraits right now, just because I mean, it's great. It's awesome. It's fun to do. And if anybody knows me well enough, they'll commission me to make something original. Not, I'll just make stuff original on my own and let it speak for itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you do an amazing job. I really love the bridal one that you did with I assume husband and wife and she's in her gown and it's like splayed out. I mean, it's great.
Thank That was a fun one to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
looks
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, no, that's it. It was fun.
Well, I was just gonna ask, I'd love to hear about like the process of like what it like how does it all happen? Like, are you taking a photograph and then creating a painting from it? Are you doing it like are you there in person, or like is someone bringing their dog to you and you're making them sit somewhere or lie down or whatever? Like, what does that look like for you?
I mean, I'm a masochist, but I will not let I wouldn't have be doing live paintings of dogs or weddings.
Yeah.
You know, it's all from photos. So typically I have like a composite of a bunch of different photos and fine art paintings and stuff like that to draw inspiration from. So typically, like I use a few different apps that just help me kind of create like vision boards of
Mhm.
the paintings. And typically I do a digital mock-up. So I'll do like a color composition first. Well, first a sketch, then a color composition. Then I trace and transfer that onto a canvas. And then I paint from there. My dog is still in the background right now. Hang on one second, I'm just gonna load it up.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah, so that's usually the process. So I am working from photographs, almost always, unless it's like my own imaginary work. But even then I have composites of reference photos. Like I'm pretty good at drawing entirely out of my head, but like there's you oh if you are a professional artist and you want to have representational art or realistic art in any way, you have to have uh strong reference photos. So the better they are, like the stronger the painting will be. I always take my own spin on it, but like, it's also how I capture a lot of the personality of the dogs and stuff. So if you go to my commission page, there's a PDF that you download and there's a whole section of it like here's some examples of good quality photos, and here are some ones that I've received that are not good. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like a blurry dog running or something like that. They want, a high end, high crispy looking photo of this dog. And I can't even tell what breed it is. Um, so, there's challenges within that. That's where being able to draw from my imagination does help, because dogs and cats are specific shapes, and
Mhm.
so you can capture some elements of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so you were seeing a challenge in your business where it was making the process harder for you, so you then developed this like your own process, like, "All right, here's how I'm gonna mitigate these things that are happening that always throw a wrench in the gears," right? That's why you did the whole document and the website and
Yeah, I mean, we're always trying to, soften the landing with this, right? So, like, I want it to be easy for myself and easy for clients because, this is an awesome process. And a lot of people, for me, a lot of this is like their first time commissioning a painting.
Mm.
So, I really want this to always be a, good experience and a memorable experience for them. And, there's been some bumps in the road as with any business, but, I feel like I have a very good track record of it. And I mean, that's why I get a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, do you find because I always saw this, with my photography was like when you're because you had mentioned this before and it made me think of this, but like where you have like the stuff that you like to do, and then there's the stuff, the hits that you said, right? Um, do you ever find that like when you're delivering something to someone that you're like, are they gonna like it? Are they gonna hate it? Like, do you go through that emotional roller coaster before you deliver a piece?
All the time.
Yeah.
I always send them an email with the picture first,
Mhm.
uh, that I think I've done awesome. Um, and yeah, I mean, like the whole time, especially with portraits or like memorial portraits too. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
am I doing this justice? And I have all like, like the ghosts of all of my professors like hovering over my head, or not ghosts, but like the apparitions of them just talking
Yeah.
to me about like, oh, do this. And I put a lot of pressure on myself for that. But the word, like in the end, it's just it's a really incredible feeling to see that all pay off. Um, I keep trying to raise the bar for myself too. I think that's the something that happens when you're motivated to do this stuff. You're always trying to raise the bar, raise the quality. Well, what worked on this one, what didn't.
Mhm.
I think the worst thing that happened to me though was I just finished a painting for like one of my oldest friends. It just I was commissioned by another person, and I had put varnish on it, and the varnish dried weird, and so I had this like shiny, like it looked like it just looked like drippy all throughout it. It didn't blend in smoothly. So, I had to put like 5 more layers of varnish on it. So this thing looks like it's encased in like acrylic or something like that. But
Mhm.
yeah. So like that's the nerve-wracking part, honestly, is when somebody says they love it and then I put the finishing touches on it. Since then I have moved to a just a matte uh kind of a varnish so that I do not need to worry about that again.
Yeah. Yeah, cause how long does, like, a painting, a pet portrait take you?
Um, from start to finish, like probably about 2 weeks. That's like the painting itself doesn't take me that long.
Mhm.
It's all the planning and stuff like that that leads up to it.
Yeah.
So, I do the sketch that gets approved. Then I do a value study, which is just black and white,
Mhm.
just a drawing of it. Then I do a color composition of it, and then, I take that to canvas. So by like doing all of that, I've already drawn this animal or this portrait like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So by then I have the reps in where it's just like, all right, I'm just going to take this to canvas. And if the stars are aligned correctly and, the color's working well in my favor, it can take 2 or 3 days once I'm painting. Sometimes an afternoon if I'm just locked in. Like the one that I did of my dog, it's over here. Actually, both of the ones behind me, I did those in a day.
Yeah.
Um, but those were paintings for me. I gifted those to my wife. So they were less like I wasn't being paid for it. So I think like, I didn't have any stress on me for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a lot quicker. But yeah, about 2, 3 days once everything's rolling.
But still not something that, if the varnish doesn't dry right, that you wanna have to start all over again and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Terrifying.
Still a
Well,
lot of work.
there have been paintings where I've had to start fresh, like, and I've kind of adopted that Zen philosophy that was just like, all right, not there's impermanence to this. And,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, like, yeah, I put in a lot of work, but this thing is messed up. I got to start fresh. So I've done that. Um, I did that more in my earlier years for sure.
Mhm.
I don't have to do that nearly as much now that like I have like better structures in place, but yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, go crack a Whitman's and,
Hmm.
like, relax
Exactly.
for a couple minutes.
Yep.
Uh, so it's so how many portraits are you doing a year, roughly speaking?
Mm. On a good year, probably anywhere between 30 to 50.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. And then probably about 10, nah, 10 labels per brewery on average too. So on top of that, 20. And then I've illustrated several children's books as well in this.
Mhm.
So yeah, keeping busy.
Yeah,
I kind of
yeah.
just I kind of just say yes to everything and figure it out. I just did a big illustration for an event planner. They wanted something like um for this themed party, so I made them
Mhm.
like this illustration that they can print up to any size. Um, so that's for a children's birthday party. It's just use the talents I got and figure out where the chips will lay. But
Yeah.
right now, things the last couple of months were a little slower for me, but that was actually really good because I've been able to focus more on the business end of things,
Mhm.
which I desperately needed to do. So, I was able to refine some of that. Yeah,
Yeah. It's, I'm sure that slowdowns are sometimes a welcome break, I think, right? Like
they are, but it's like it's a disruption of routine.
Mm.
I'm used to like, all right, like today I'm going to be priming these canvases and I'm going to be doing this and this and this. And then once I get in that flow, that's just, I'm just going, going, going. And then it's slowed down for a little bit. And I'm like, I could breathe. But, when that train is chugging along and all of a sudden it stops, sometimes the back of that train folds over the front. So,
Yeah.
um, but some really cool opportunities have emerged since then. And I finished the full rough draft of illustrations of a new children's book. I'm going to be working. I'm hoping that publisher will pick up. We're just shopping that around right now.
Nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's themed around grief actually. So, um, it's an important thing to talk about. I don't think a lot of thing organizations or like books talk about that especially for kids, but
Mhm.
we framed it in a way that's really accessible, but it hits you like a gut punch, kind of like the first 5 minutes of the movie Up.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a beautiful story. It's really well written, local author, and I'm hoping that gets picked up by a publisher. But if not, we're tenacious. We'll figure it out.
There's always Kindle Directs, man.
There
That
is for sure.
KDP, it's
ADP.
self-publishing. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Uh, I'm curious of like these different things. So like obviously you started off you were doing the pet portraits and regular portraits, and then you somehow end up doing beer labels, and then somehow you end up doing illustrations for children's books. Like were these just like happy accidents that just kind of came along? Like you're in a conversation and someone's like, "Oh, I wrote a kid's book and I need an illustrator," and you're like, "Oh, hey, I'm an illustrator." Like how does that all come to pass?
I think with all things, it's like a matter of the relationships you build. So when the pet portraits, I'm fortunate enough to be very outgoing. So I have amassed a lot of friends and support, and there's like really wonderful people in my life. So they wanted to support me, and they wanted a piece of my own art. They've always have, just kind of waited for the right moment. With the beer labels, I was working at a brewery. Started chatting with a couple other brewers, landed me some gigs with that because like I will find a way to work into a conversation that I am a working artist. Like, I'm just, I will do that verbal jujitsu where all of a sudden I am, I'm telling somebody, hey, I'm a commission based artist. You want to see it? And I just, I have business cards on me.
Yeah.
Because this is what I want to do. Anything else that I'm doing is to be social or to supplement this business as things get more expensive. But and then the children's books, the first one I did, well, actually both of them, were from friends of mine that I've known pretty much my whole life. One is about the history of Saratoga Springs. The author, Patrice Mastriani, she got a grant from Saratoga. I forgot what the actual grant is, so forgive me for that. But she got a grant to illustrate or to write a book about the history of Saratoga for like middle school kids and above.
Yeah.
So I ended up illustrating that. It's called Find Me in Saratoga. That's all over the place in Saratoga Springs and also available online. And then Cooper's Camper Van Adventures was like my first like traditional style children's book.
Mhm.
And my friend Bridget Fari wrote this, and it's somewhat autobiographical about their travels throughout the country in their camper van from the perspective of their dog Cooper. And that one was that was a real learning experience for me because that was like my first book.
Mhm.
We went through all sorts of hurdles with it, but you know, it proved to be like really just a wonderful learning experience, and it's won a ton of awards. So like I never win anything. So like to have like awards and medals and stuff like that is like
Yeah.
really, really cool for my work, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. What
Um,
so it's interesting to me too with the beer label thing because I remember the first time I experienced like hand drawn quote unquote beer labels was with Racka River up in Tupper Lake. They had
okay.
someone that was like doing those. I was like, oh, that's a really cool idea. And
Yeah.
so when I saw that on your profile, I was like, oh, look at this, man. Like that's pretty awesome. Like
Mhm.
I like the handcrafted ale with the handcrafted label, so to speak, right? Like it's a really cool.
Exactly. I've been working with, are you a coffee guy at all?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. So, I partnered up with Crew Coffee
Hmm.
as well. So, I just redid a bunch of their labels. And so we're launching a bunch of those right now as well. So now I'm also in the coffee game. So, uh, I got everything going on right now.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, like, and you mentioned AI earlier, kind of invading the pet portrait with the different jackets on and things like that, the humanized pet portraiture. But I'm curious to hear a little bit about that, about what you're seeing with that. But at the same time, like, I feel in some ways it's making things like what you do more important because it's not AI slop. It's a real human created it. There's real creative behind it. Like, to me, I feel like it gives them more value. So when you see brands like Crew and Whitman and they're using local artists to do their labels and do their graphics for their containers, I think that's awesome. I think it makes it a better product overall. But
It, it's amazing. I love this segue because, Crew did use AI on a number of labels because I think that they just had a deadline that they needed to get these out, and they had commissioned a bunch of different artists to do these things. And I think that a lot of times artists are famously flaky with deadlines. So, I kind of so I stepped in because I saw that, and I did some work for them before, and I was just like, look, I'm going to cut you a huge deal on this. Let me just get, let me just redo these for you. Like, let me just do these for you. So I redid the whole concept, and, the value that I bring to any artistic endeavor that I do is that I'm thoughtful.
Mm.
So I'm going to go and do some research on the history you know, of the subject of, for instance, with the Ethiopian brand coffee, um, or with the Ethiopian origin coffee, you know, we're celebrating the women behind the scenes with that. They're the ones who are really running the show over there. It's equal opportunity, but coffee has helped lift Ethiopia, the birthplace of coffee, out of just abject poverty. And so I wanted to celebrate that. So I made a watercolor style painting of that, like celebrating the heritage of it, and the coffee ceremony that they do, along with the famous dancing goats for that coffee.
Mhm.
Now, what was the original label? It was two guys in African garb holding coffee cups with a million little coffee cups all around it. One guy had an extra hand growing out of his, out of his belly button, and the cup had like three handles. And I'm just like, because at first I looked at it, and this is like at the very beginning of AI. And I looked at it, I'm like, oh, that's actually really cool. I wonder who did that. And I wasn't scoping it out for all the imperfections that,
Mhm.
because it was brand new. I didn't notice it. And then I started noticing trends. And now I kind of wag my finger at anybody that's using AI for like their graphic design or for their posters or anything like that, just because it looks cheap. Like, if you're a DJ or you're a band or something like that, like, I get it. Like, or even just like a mom and pop deli. I get it. Budgets are tight, but like, it looks exponentially better if you do that punk DIY thing where you just, like, put the ransom note pictures or, letters on something with, like, I don't know, like some sort of picture, and you put that in a Xerox machine and you put that up. That's going to look a million times better and show that you put some effort into,
Mhm.
rather than a hot dog, like a perfectly rendered hot dog with like this weird shiny, uh, uh, film to it and like a million different toppings on it. I'm thinking of one exactly right now off the top
Yeah.
of my head, but what happens with AI design is that it's busy,
Mm.
and now it's like, and with AI art, it's it feels weirdly perfect, like, and there's reasons for that.
Mhm.
But I think that with the advent of all that stuff, it's brought a lot more value to what I do because, um, you could go online and say, make this dog look like a royal king leading over a court, and it will do that. It's not going to look like your dog. Your dog will have 8 paws, but it will do that. But if you give that to somebody, they're going to go, oh, versus I commissioned this portrait of your dog by my friend Dave, who made this for you. I thought of you. Here you go. It is, I mean, it's just a night and day difference.
Yeah,
And,
sure.
so if I can be part of that, that revolution, it's fine. Like I think AI has its features that are really great, especially for like organizing business or like, handling spreadsheets or even just compartmentalizing data. Great. But that's a software. Don't make art or music with it and claim that you made that. It's just, you didn't go through the struggle. You didn't learn. You didn't grow,
Yeah.
and there's applications for it, but just keep art out of it. Like these dorks in Silicon Valley that think that they're making the world a better place by allowing you to just type in something and then, it spits out, you know, something. It it's cool that there's tech that can do that, but like to say that it is art is like, it's like there's a great analogy that I heard was that it was it's like taking an Uber to the finish line of a marathon and claiming that you're a marathon runner.
Yeah.
Right? You skipped all the hard work, you skipped all the training, you skipped all of like, the struggle and the point of doing all of this just to claim that you made it to the finish line.
Yeah.
And I think that, we can all do better than that. And I think that, what ends up happening too is that there's no fulfillment for people that are making this kind of art or design with AI. There's no fulfillment, so they just get bored. It's just like it's like another toy.
Yeah.
Versus this, where like I have to make art or I'll explode. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, it's very disposable, right? Like you make something in 10 minutes with AI, it's like if it gets thrown in the garbage, no big deal. Or
yeah,
you commission an artist to do a painting of you and your wife or your dog or whatever it is, like that's something that you're going to take care of. You're going to want to keep around for a long time. Like there's you know, uh, it's just not AI stuff is, I think, is just very disposable. But
yeah, I agree. Again, I think it's really good for like helping handle business or like helping give direction if you need it. But other than that, like keep art out of it.
yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. So what's the future look like for DFG Illustrations? You're gonna keep I mean obviously you're gonna keep making art.
Yeah.
Or you'll
So yeah, or I will explode.
yeah.
Oh my God, like the amount of teachers that I frustrated growing up. It's just like, with all the drawings and all my margins of everything, I have to
Yeah.
do this. To answer your question, what's next is right now I have a print shop. I'm designing merch for myself just to, have that. So I'm looking to build up an online print store. I will be setting up more at local markets and selling prints and originals. I'm building up a portfolio right now because like my end goal is to end up becoming like a concept designer or 2D artist for video games or movies. That's my ultimate goal. Um, you're hearing it first. So I'm building up a portfolio for that. I'm also putting together some other portfolios and just some more professional things to shop around in hopes to just kind of land a more steady gig because commission work is wonderful, but it's not steady. So I'm looking to turn my art into something a bit more of a certainty. But
Yeah.
for now, it's just I'm working with Lucky Puppy. I'm working with Whitman. I'm working with it's also brewing. Uh, all Crew Coffee. I'm very fortunate to have the support that I do. So I plan to continue cultivating that.
Love it. What's
Yeah.
if people want to learn more about you, maybe they want to hire you or they want to buy some prints of some of the other stuff, like that rabbit print that you've got on your website. I saw that earlier. I was like, oh, I think my son would like that. That's more of a darker what I think is one of your original pieces, like the rabbit with the eyes popping out of it or whatever.
Oh, the Crabbit. Yeah.
Rabbit? Is that what that is?
Yeah, the Crabbit. Yeah. Man, I gotta put that up as a print, man. I love that piece. And my buddy,
I was like, my son would love this. Uh, but if people want to learn more about you, they want to find you. Where do they find you?
you can check out my website at dfgillustration.com or follow me on Instagram at DFG Illustration. Yeah. And the F is my middle name, so it's Farnsworth. It's not like Dave fucking Globerson. But
But it could be.
it could be. Yeah. It's open. Yeah, it's over. Dave Funtime Illustration. Yeah, it's open for interpretation.
Whatever F you want to put in there, right?
Exactly.
Oh man, Dave, I really appreciate you coming on the show, spending some time with
Thank
me
you.
and the audience, and
Yeah.
and talking about what you're doing. I love your work.
Thanks so much, man.
And we are gonna see you at Savage Sunday here another week or two.
Perhaps. I think we're gonna be at the Cape during that time, but I will see you at one of these times. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you,
All
sir.
right.
I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank
Good to see
you.
you.
Thanks for taking the time.